Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to my talk about building Gen AI agents with Quarkus, LangChain4j, and the Oracle database 26 AI. My name is Juarez Barbosa Jr. I work for Oracle as a developer evangelist. I have over 30 years of experience in software engineering and developer relations. You can see several different interesting roles here in companies that I worked for. Apart from Microsoft, twice for each of these, and I'm a frequent speaker at conferences like this one. Of course, it's not a talk about my background and experience, so let's get started. First, let's talk about Gen AI, right? Because last year, 2024, was the year of Gen AI. Everyone was talking about models and creating solutions with Gen AI. This year, we moved actually to also discuss building agents, right? They can not only, act in terms of inference, in the perception loop, but also act and perform tasks for us. And that's the focus of my talk here. But Gen AI, at the end of the day, we talk about generating synthetic content, right? And that can be pictures, videos, audio. You can see I created this image this morning. It happens here in Greece. A picture it in a kind of cyberpunk, a futuristic, a cityscape. So the opportunities are actually great in terms of what we can achieve with Gen AI at the moment. And as I said, Gen AI, at the end of the day, we are talking about pretty much the same software components, right? But when we talk about acronyms like GPT, the T stands for transformer. That's a more specialized type of deep learning model. But at the end of the day, that's software, okay? Synthetic content, also we can generate code, possibly you are using those assistants like GitHub Copilot. We started actually acting as the driver, right? And the Copilot was there as an assistant to support us with code completions and those things. But with the advent of vibe coding now, there's a kind of reverse role and reverse shadow, right? You guide and you go and you specify a prompt and then the agents go and execute and code for you. And that's interesting because some people say, oh, but Gen AI does not work because every time I ask the LLM model to create a code sample for me or a component, the code is not of good quality. But it depends on how you are driving it. And there's an entire new area now called SDD, spec-driven development. Similar to TDD, test-driven development, or DDD, domain-driven development that started 23 years ago with Eric Evans. But now you can go and with a markdown file, you specify, and there are several ways that you can put structure to that, right, with initiatives like agents.md, and also SpecKit by Microsoft, a new kind of a tool and framework. And if you are clear about the specific libraries and the versions and the design patterns that you want to use and what to perform and what not to perform, the results are fantastic. So you just have to learn how to drive it the right way. And what we have to think is, the LLM models, if I ask a question about biology or mechanical engineering or software development, Rust language, Python, the Oracle database, I get answers, right? So the same way that we used to sit with human software engineers to have those practices of extreme programming and pair programming, at the end of the day, now I can see those agents as programmers, artificial programmers, but they are extremely smart. You just have, again, to learn how to drive them. And we should think, actually, that there's an entire new continent of artificial programmers, that can help you. And that's extremely impactful in terms of what we can achieve. Some people are still doubting Gen AI and AI. Having this experience, 30 years of professional experience in software development and engineering, and also 8 years as a kind of amateur indie programmer when I was a kid and teenager, right? I've never seen a moment like now where we have academia, researchers, big tech players, startups, the public sector, everyone is talking about AI, investing in AI, researching about AI. And I've experienced, many waves like the PC era, even before the PC XT, and also the smartphone evolution from the old days of Nokia and for Nokia. I happened to work for Nokia for a while as well, even before the smartphone era as we know it nowadays with iPhone and Android, the feature phones, Series 40, Series 60, and so on. Blockchain as well, IoT, And now we have all the infrastructure, pretty much all the services, all the solutions, the technology, all the bits are there for us. We are talking now about 6G as well. Quantum computing is coming. So it's just a perfect moment for you to learn how to create applications, and that's my goal here, to enable you. I talked about this generation. There's an entire new area called prompt engineering, and now we are talking about context engineering as well, fitting the model and the interaction with more context and more meaningful information. The ethical issues, I'm not going to explore this one because I want to show you more interesting stuff here. But at the end of the day, as usual, cyber criminals, as an example, they like to explore and use technology for rogue, malicious goals. It's not different with Gen AI. My goal here, again, is then to focus on application development. Okay, it's not a talk for machine learning engineers, deep learning engineers, no. No mathematics here, statistics, that's not the goal of my talk. And the last highlight here, AI is becoming a commodity, because in the past, if I wanted to deploy a model at scale, I would have to acquire hardware resources, the GPUs, the 8200 GPU by NVIDIA costs $30,000, right? And all the networking hardware and the hacks. But now you get a subscription with a cloud hyperscaler like the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or any of other players, regardless if you see the service as PaaS or SaaS, and you're good to go. They are actually abstracting all the complexity and the upfront investment, CAPEX. You just get a subscription, you select the models. Possibly you can use a REST API and software development kits as well with many programming languages. So it's just a great opportunity, again, for us to create applications. Last thing, they talk about AGI, because some areas regarding AI, they are at the same level as us human beings, in terms of, as an example, speech recognition or text translation. Many areas are still evolving, but they say that the point where those solutions and the models, they will be on par with us regarding all the skills and the competencies, okay, that is called AGI. And now in San Francisco, they are also talking about something that has this acronym ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. They say that, at some point, if you combine all the 8 billion people that we have nowadays, the models and the solutions will be smarter than the 8 billion people, combined. And last thing here to highlight, and we'll talk about, I have to move to talk about the technical stuff. The ultimate vector of this intelligence will be, the IoT solutions and robotics, okay? That's actually what will happen. Go see what is happening in Silicon Valley now with the humanoids, and also in China, robots are invading all sectors of society over there, because this point with AGI and ASI will have the intelligence layer solved, and at the level they want. Then we will start to see what we call also physical intelligence with robotics and all the solutions, automation systems as well. That's actually a reality. If you go to a manufacturing plant, you will see possibly programmable logic controllers and CNC robots and all those things, but it's happening. Yes, I think I can skip this one here because, ChatGPT somehow made Gen AI available to the public, and it's a thing now, so everyone knows OpenAI and ChatGPT and the solutions. We happen to have a Gen AI service as well as part of our cloud platform, which was redesigned from scratch years ago. We started, as an example, our cloud, and that's why we have so many partnerships now with the hyperscalers, AWS and Azure and GCP, and also we have customers like Zoom, we have Uber, we have AI, we have OpenAI, all those partnerships, because the Oracle Cloud is actually a modern one. Our CTO and chairman, the founder of Oracle, started this project years ago. We used to have a cloud platform called OCI Classic, but they started from scratch. As an example, there's no mechanical disks, only SSD disks, and terabits networks, clear separation in terms of security regarding the control planes and the user code and the environments. But it's something that is actually extremely powerful, and that's why we have this traction now. We are number 4 in terms of cloud computing, and also we are building the largest GPU data center in Abilene, Texas. That's part of the Stargate project, supported by the American government as well. Okay, speaking of agentic AI and agents, okay, The agents, they can act autonomously, but there are two different ways, and the literature now is clear. Even other companies are documenting that, including Microsoft with the new Microsoft, Gen AI framework and so on, agents framework. Because the agents, they can act autonomously, but it's complicated when you have a mission-critical application, right? And you are actually giving the agent, full permission rights in terms of security and access to all environments and production databases. So that might become a complicated situation and end up in problems, right? So the first thing, the agents, they are only components that can actually use inference to have the intelligence perception and then generate a result and actually act as well. But the workflows actually is when you combine all the agents to perform several different tasks and have the result of a combined, sequence of task executions. But there are some patterns and blueprints as well, like the so-called human in the loop, because it's safer to have some checkpoints so you can go and see what's happening and approve or disapprove. But that's the way that, in terms of blueprints and design patterns, the technology is evolving. All right, the Oracle Database 26 AI, over 300 major new features. Impossible for me to talk about that in 20 minutes. I just want to highlight something, this first pillar here, AI for data features, because we have a feature called AI vector search. And we do support a new vector data type. Oracle did something interesting because even if you are not a Python programmer, Java programmer, you can create Gen AI applications with pure SQL. We extended the ANSI SQL language and also PL SQL. Okay, so there are out-of-the-box functions for you without the distance calculations for something called semantic search that I'm going to explain later on. And you can get this database actually as a free version. It's the same component, the same upstream component, no modifications. And we happen to have the same database deployed on top of our cloud platform, but it's called Autonomous Database because years ago we started to infuse AI into our database to perform those recurrent DBA tasks transparently and behind the scenes, things like applying security patches, performing index optimizations and performance optimizations. But it's just an autonomous database, but the same database component. AI vector search, oh yes, and I forgot to mention, I already talked about this one here, but highlight again. We have now the opportunity to work in a multi-cloud scenario as well with all the players because some companies, they have their workloads running I don't know, Azure App Service or container apps or AKS, Kubernetes, but they happen to have an Oracle database. So this option is actually you can provision the Oracle database from the cloud console of those cloud platforms, okay? Same user experience, so it's the best of both worlds. Perhaps it's a good tool and a trick that you should have under your belt, and that's why I'm talking about this. Okay, AI vector search, as I explained, the usual SQL queries, they would filter against a search key, okay, the traditional way. But now with unstructured data, we needed a different way of achieving that. And then with the embedding models, we can get this unstructured data, video, audios, and so on, and create some vectors of floating points. We call them embeddings, and store them in a vector database, and that will allow us to actually execute these semantic searches and compare the characteristics of those entities and the number of use cases that you can actually create out of that, are really impressive in terms of innovation and also leveraging this world of rich media and rich data and also the unstructured data. As an example here, I can transform this supporting incident into an embedding, a vector embedding. We call the numbers that translate to the characteristics dimensions, which, by the way, when you create a vector data column, you have to observe the dimensions supported by your embedding model. Some people think that models are only about chat completions, but we have models for embedding, we have models for text to speech, and so on. And yes, you can see with that, then I can compare, if the support incidents are related or not based on the characteristics. Same thing here, if I ingest, because there's a technique called RAG, retrieval augmented generation, with two phases, ingestion and retrieval. If I ingest the data and I store the data, it will fall into the quadrant of entities that share similarities, as you can see here, animals, fruits, and states in the United States. This deck, by the way, will be made available, and it has all the links, all the technical resources. And last thing, I talked about RAG. RAG is interesting because when you train the model with a data set and deploy the model at scale, the model does not know about recent happenings and incidents and, and things that are recent. So you need a way to actually augment the context and, and improve the way that the model can provide you more meaningful answers regarding the interactions. And RAG is a technique that you can use because then, let's say, if I'm a telecom provider and I have plenty of a historical database of support cases, I can just translate that and transform it to become vectors, and then I can feed my chatbot to use those embeddings as part of the interaction, okay? And that's one of the scenarios that I have here. LangChain4j is actually an open source project created by the community for the community, but now with contributions with all the main players regarding the Java ecosystem. Some people think, oh, I have to learn, I'm a Java developer, I have to learn Python now to do Gen AI. No, we have LangChain4j, Spring AI, we have semantic kernel for Java, which is being merged into the new Microsoft framework, component framework, I guess, or something like that. I forgot the exact name. With that, I can show you one simple example of a RAG scenario. I will ask a question using LangChain4j and asking about who is Juarez. Let me see if, oh no. Oh no, there's no way to do it. I guess only if maybe I replicate it. Do you know how can I maybe duplicate? Yes, that's it. Okay, I have it. Okay, so first thing, let me just show you. I have a PDF file that I ingested with my profile. I will ask a question, who is Juarez? I'm using a model that was deployed 2 years ago, so the model does not really have information about my profile. Okay, and here, this column, you see the vector embeddings, okay? So that's actually the result of converting a PDF file into some vector embeddings, okay? Because the PDF file actually has a couple of paragraphs that show my profile, okay? So if I run this example here, and you can see that's the beauty of using open source frameworks because, if I can interact with the, I'm using OpenAI, I can interact with the OpenAI API using plain old HTTP clients as provided by the OpenJDK, but I would need to write, 80, 100 lines of code, but with frameworks like this one, you can see that it's just a matter of writing a couple of lines of code, okay? So if I run this code here, you will see that I will get an answer, possibly. Sometimes it says, I don't know who Juarez is, or he's a soccer player, or something like that. I hope I still have a connection. Okay, I do. Yes, no information available, and that's another thing, because LLM interactions are non-deterministic, okay, so you can get different answers regarding different requests. But you see, it is just because it's a very old model. If I go to Copilot and I ask about Juarez, as they get updating the training data set, you'll see that actually it has information. But now I have a second scenario. I created a component here and another interaction where I ingested that PDF file, as you can see here. It's just added as a resource. You have to use the embedding model and also the embedding store, and that happens to be the Oracle database and the embeddings that I showed you, the vectors or floating point numbers. And if I run this demo here now, you will see that actually I'll get a better answer because now the embeddings are being added to the interaction, okay? So they are augmenting the context of this interaction. And that's meaningful because at your company, if you have, regardless of the business vertical, telecom, healthcare, energy, and utilities, there are plenty of opportunities to look at your business processes and the use cases and identify the intersection points where you can infuse AI to achieve and improve and expedite processes and eliminate waste and all those things. The next example here, and I'm going to focus on the code because my time is running out. The second one is actually an agent with LangChain4j, which is extremely easy to use as well. Okay, first thing, I define this interface here with the annotation agent and a message that I will use as part of this interaction. It's a support agent. So as part of this rag, I ingested some Oracle error codes. And the second here is just about the database connection, so no tricks here. It's just plain JDBC. And this one is the actual agent. I can run it now, okay? And then you will see that the agent will, as part of this interaction, act autonomously and use something that we call a tool, okay, or function calling. Okay, what happened here? Oh, yes, it's working. So let me just... Yes, so I should have done this, actually. Just to close it, let me run it in debug mode, maybe. Yes, but this agent here, as I told you, it will use the embeddings, and then I have ingested the technical codes as part of the same technique RAG. Okay, so I have the error codes here. Okay, and then I ask questions, I provide an error code, and I get the agent to go and have the perception loop, the inference loop, and then the action loop to actually retrieve the description for me. And that's what I will get from this agent. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so last thing, let me just move here to, I'm going to skip some slides here. And so we can draw my session to a close. Yes, the last one is actually Quarkus, because with LangChain4j, there's an overlap. There are several things that LangChain4j can do for you in GenAI that are also available, provided by Quarkus, but Quarkus is now integrated and uses LangChain4j as one of the main components for creating agents, okay? By the way, this deck and the QR codes, and if you go to Oracle Developers on Medium, all my blog posts with the source code repositories of all these examples are there for you if you want to run them at your home or at your company. And with Quarkus, it is interesting because it uses the same component model. If you are using Quarkus, pretty much the same annotations, everything. Integrated with LangChain4j as well. It is extremely easy for you. I was using OpenAI, an external GenAI provider, but you can use a local one like Ollama as well. As you can see here, you create an application. These are the dependencies, Maven dependencies or Gradle dependencies. You just use a simple annotation, register AI service. You can see that it comes from a package that is actually supported by both Quarkus and LangChain4j. And with that, I will add some properties to my application properties, basically to configure the chat model, the embedding model in the Ollama URL. And with that, I will inject my agent. This is actually the resource that we will expose the functionality as a REST API. And after this, I will just annotate the email service as a tool. So this one simulates an email. I ask a question, a support question, and it will send a message to my customer. Okay? And yes, Quarkus also has something called Easy RAG that you can easily, aggregate several different data sources to perform RAG. And yes, and this is the model that I use to add more context to the interaction. And to run it, it's just a matter of running Quarkus as usual. And I performed a REST call, and I happen to have it already executed here. So you can see the response and the email that was crafted as part of the inference, interaction, and action loop, and the REST request, HTTP request with the code tool here. I think that's pretty much it, folks. there's just one thing that I would like to tell you here, and yes, all the references are here. If you do Spring AI as well, I have plenty of blog posts and code samples. We contributed code to LangChain4j, Spring AI, the Microsoft Semantic Kernel, Oracle Engineering. And this program here, Oracle ACE, 3 different, now 4 different levels, associate, pro, director, and the apprentice level. If you are a meetup organizer, if you deliver talks at events like this one, if you have a blog post, if you create code samples, feel free to approach me. I'm your go-to person in EMEA, so I can understand how far you are and nominate you to become an Oracle ACE, close a relationship with Oracle at some stage, and depending on the level, Oracle will invite you to participate in technical conferences and go and present to customers and developers as well, and also pay your hotel stay, your ticket flights, so it's just a nice program, okay? Come to us, and I think that's it. Thank you very much for attending my session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, a round of applause. Juarez